This week's school update made possible by Turkey Creek Mercantile and Annie's Flower House and Gifts. All right, this is the first of, I hope, a weekly Dr. Woods update about what's going on at the school system.
That is the plan. We'll do this once a week.
Very cool. All right, so the first thing I think is, looking at these notes,
Right.
is special development for teachers.
Okay. I probably said it wrong, but it's professional development for teachers. It's where we will bring the teachers in at the end of July, and because we're doing so many things in a different environment, we felt it was really necessary to get very focused on preparing the teachers to address how they were going to do lessons in case we had to go on an extended leave. If we had students that had to be quarantined at home, we needed a way to still provide them their instruction and their materials. So we're going to work real hard on that the last of July. And teachers will need to be a part of that, of course, because they'll be the ones doing the lion's share of that.
Well,
delivery.
you're like rewriting the rule book, or the playbook.
Yeah. One of the cool things about the environment that we are in is that that's very true. We are getting to rewrite it, and we're getting to try some new things and do things a little differently that were either not allowed or they were very hesitant to allow us to do. Well, now that's all changed, and now we get to do things in a way that fits what we need. So it's kind of exciting as well as challenging.
Okay. What step, this is a question we're going to hear a lot of,
Right.
is what steps are you taking as we go into the school year to protect the students and staff and teachers and things like this?
That's a great question. Again, I'm sure the answer will change every time we have this question come up because we're learning as we go. But we know there are two things that really affect the virus, and that is wearing a face mask and social distancing. So we're going to request that our students and staff wear a face mask while in the hallway, while in large groups, going back and forth. But in the classroom, that's just not really appropriate or really applicable because just like right now, it might be more visually appealing if we both had masks, but it probably wouldn't really be very beneficial in the conversation. So that's two of the primary things that I think everyone's being tasked with doing, whether it's in the school or being just in the public in general. But we also would like for everyone to bring a water bottle. So we're not going to let them drink out of water fountains. That's, of course, that's a place that the virus would thrive. So we're asking that they would treat a face mask and a water bottle as just another school supply. And as a matter of fact, it'll probably be on all the school supply lists. Some other things we're doing is just the general distancing. Anytime we're in a situation where we have students together, spread them out as much as possible, reconfigure the classrooms.
Well, that was my question. What are you going to do with the classrooms?
Absolutely. Typically, you'd walk in and you'd see them in groups of 4, maybe 6, where they were all facing in and working in small group. Well, that'll probably have to change to where small group is still way too an effective instructional tool to not do it, but we'll just have to control how we do it and the numbers of students that'll be involved. So reconfiguring the classrooms, we are going to have hand sanitizers on every classroom, so as they go out the door, they can get a couple pumps of hand sanitizer just as a normal function, no matter where we're going.
Okay.
So again, that's probably the primary things. And then as we look for more or kind of a bigger solution, is we're going to scan everybody for fever. That's 100.4 is kind of the magic number. We've got some plans in place that we're going to use thermal imaging to
I kind of let
detect
the cat out of the bag with that one about the mass thermal imaging
a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit, but that's okay. It's not finished, but it is something the concept is going to happen. How it happens is probably still a little bit in question.
What we're talking about is that at the last school board meeting, they voted to allow you to purchase some group thermal imaging
Right.
equipment as well as individual scanners, and that will allow you to scan a herd, if you
Absolutely.
would, as they come into the school.
Right.
And a lot of the questions that we got on that post were that, well, what are you going to do when the virus is over? And I mean, my comeback was, well, the school always struggles with sick children.
Yeah.
And this will be a valuable tool.
Exactly. We're very focused on the COVID-19 right now, but how many times we've seen flu epidemics have an outbreak to where we've had to have schools shut down? That's not uncommon. So there'll be a lot of uses for this as we go along. There's, again, two trains of thought is we would have everyone walk up individually, but also that takes so much time and is so cumbersome. And the other technology we're looking at actually, like you said, does kind of a herd group.
Just does it real time as they come in.
And
Okay.
so if you it showed that you were over the allowable temperature, a little clip of video would be recorded, and that would be emailed to probably the school nurse or the certified athletic trainer, so we could have a medical professional follow up. We wouldn't be just using the instruments reading. We would have it followed up with before we acted on it. But then that would go probably to the principal and probably to the secretary that would be monitoring the entrances. So we would know who it was that we needed to address, and maybe they needed to be quarantined. There's a lot of things. We have not completely fleshed out all of the practices. Those are things we still have to work through. So again, anything I say today is probably not going to be accurate tomorrow, because we're going to meet again Wednesday, and this will be an ongoing process so we can get
And I
everybody
understand
up to speed.
if someone is flagged with a fever, they don't just like get ejected out.
No.
There's a process you'll go through to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And again, that's why we want, because there's a lot of reasons you have a fever. It's not necessarily always because of an infection or an illness. So what we want to do is that's the first step, and that's something we can do in mass and not slow down the flow of school.
Got it.
And so that way we can pick out who could possibly be exhibiting signs of any type of communicable disease, and then they could be checked out again by the school nurse or by our certified athletic trainer, which are both trained professionals in identifying the additional symptoms.
That way they know if the kid ran the 100-yard dash as
absolutely.
he came through the.
Well, and they also, different diseases a fever is just the first indicator. There's a lot of other symptoms, so they would be able to check the student or the person. Well, it would just be students. We wouldn't check adults, but we would check the students to make sure if they showed any other signs or any other things that would maybe accompany that.
Okay. I understand enrollment is going to be a little bit different this year.
And this was something that was happening pre-COVID, but the enrollment's going to be completely online. We're working out the details. There will probably be a pure online enrollment process, and then there'll also be a supported enrollment process where you can come into the school. We'll have it, again, we'll have to work through how we're going to do that. Are we going to put a shield up between the two of them, and how are they going to help insert the information? Those things are still kind of up in the air. But we will have an enrollment process and time where you can come in and get help if you have questions. We do a lot of education speak in a lot of our forums, and people don't always know exactly what we're asking for, so this way they can still have support, or maybe if they need support with the language, we'll have that available as well.
Or if they don't have any online, internet, or things like that.
We kind of tend to forget that, those of us that have it, and I understand you have ultra-high fast fiber now after.
Don't tell anyone.
No,
Yeah,
are you stealing that still?
No, the jumper cables fell off, so
Okay,
I had to pay for it. Yeah.
But not everybody does. Not everybody does. So we need to provide that access to some folks if they need it.
Okay. Transportation. How is transportation going to work this year?
So first thing a lot of kids see when they start headed to school is a big yellow bus. So that is also one of the hardest places to social distance. There's a lot of things that we can do. One, we're going to request that they wear masks, that they stay in family groups, that they do spread out. The windows will be down when appropriate to spread the air out. We aren't checking temperatures or doing any of that on the bus because, one, the bus drivers are bus drivers, not medical professionals. And two, even if they had a fever, a lot of parents are already gone by the time the kiddos get on the bus. So we can't just turn around and send them back in the house. We would need to bring them in. So that's why we'll check them as they come into school. But we bought a new bus to put on another, and added another route so we can spread the bus riders out as much as possible. So, and again, we're hoping that that's not an issue, but if we have to, we'll deal with it if it continues or it ever shows up as being a hot spot because again, it appears that will be one of the toughest spots for us to control.
Okay. Cafeteria changes.
So again, we got to look at how the COVID is spread. When you're in line getting your food, we may ask you to wear your mask while you're getting your food, but then of course it would be appropriate to take it off when you try to eat.
That'd be difficult.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. Again, why we would take it off because it's probably not appropriate or applicable in that environment. And we have the grab and go function in the cafeteria now, where they have those plastic clamshells. So maybe that's all the meals go. And again, we haven't decided all this. This is just all discussion points. But maybe that's how we produce all the meals. And so salad, fruit, all that stuff is already prepackaged. People can just walk up, pick it up, and then they won't have to expose themselves or others to any further contamination by contaminating some food or something that's already setting out and in the open. Again, we've got great professionals in the cafeteria where we serve thousands and thousands of meals this summer.
That's right.
Through the bagged lunches and stuff.
And the church is helping deliver.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Volunteers.
And so, right. And we were able to do that. And again, as we talked today, there's been no cases of the virus infecting any of our staff that participated in that. Mm-hmm. So I think there's ways to do that are safe and effective, but it will be different.
Good. Early detection.
That goes back to the scanning. If we can catch the kiddos as they come in, and again, we've looking at setting up 6 different stations from pre-K up to the high school. That allow us to get, we're about 850 kiddos, so that's a little over 100 kids per station. But if you've seen these, the scanners we're talking about are more of an industrial type of a scanner. It's not a single user type scanner, which we're going to have both, because later in the day, a lot of times, when you were little, if you remember, you would get up not feeling real well, and mom would dope you up with some Tylenol or a little Benadryl. So you're not going to show a fever till about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to have individual stations where the student can walk up and be scanned. And the idea is, by using the kiosks and the scanners, is so we don't have to put any of our staff at risk. Because we think a lot about the kids, but the staff is probably the more vulnerable population in the school, more so than the students would be. So as much as we can protect our staff, we're going to do that as well.
Okay, good plan. I think that's all we had on the list. Is there anything else that you wanted to elaborate on? Just a lot of changes this year.
Right.
But some of them are things that you were working on anyway, as far as online and interaction and those kind of things.
Yeah, we've been blessed. We got a large grant again this year, a Real Utility Service grant, where we added 34 or 36 distance education devices into the school, and that was already in the works before we hit the COVID situation. So our staff is as well prepared and well equipped, kind of going back to the PD, now the software that we need to run the devices, we need to be trained on that. But we have the best equipped school anywhere. I'd put it up against any place. The video and audio is as common in the classroom as is internet. It's just that we were able to get 2 grants over the last couple of years, and it's really addressed that need for technology. The other thing I would like to do is I'd like to get feedback from our community. It's really going to take a lot of support and a lot of grace from the community to make this work, because there are going to be things that are going to happen. Maybe they don't look like they make a lot of sense, but contact us, ask us questions, provide us, again, like right now, I'd love some feedback. My email, are you going to tag my email on this?
Yeah, go ahead and give me your email address.
It's mwoods, MWOODS @hps.k12.ok.us. And again, if you stick that on there, you get on the website, I think you can find it on there as well.
Yep.
But hit me with your questions. That a lot of times we've addressed situations where we do have students that have some underlying issues with either diabetes, asthma, different underlying illnesses that might affect them. So we need to know that going into the school year, because those are students that won't wear a mask. Yep. They just can't. If you have asthma and then you try to put a mask on over top of that, that makes it even that much harder. So we need to know those kind of things. And again, we really need our support from our community. Wearing a mask isn't political for us. It doesn't matter Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or whatever it is. It's more keeping people safe.
Sure.
And the masks typically don't protect the wearer near as much as they protect the others. Again, we've got a population in our staff that are compromised as well in some areas, and so we need to look out for them. So that's our Christian duty in some way, to look out for other folks as we go about our day. So again, just ask for a lot of support and a lot of help from our community.
Well, and the good thing about this format that we're going to try to do this weekly, I guess, right?
That's the plan.
As needed.
Absolutely.
That if you send us questions, we can actually answer them like right here, like this. So you can, we can elaborate or discuss whatever they are, rather than on Facebook comments.
Yeah.
If you have something, email it to Dr. Woods or me. I'll put my email address right here. There was one more thing before we close, is that there was some questions about athletics. especially
Right.
indoor athletics. And there was some conversation at the school board meeting about how you were going to handle some of
Right.
that.
So we've already asked Coach Hicks, the athletic director, to be contacting other schools. We've just found out that OSSAA has supposedly has a set of guidelines that they're going to submit. Although they will not be rules, they will be guidelines, suggestions, and you can follow them or not. But I've asked Coach Hicks to kind of spearhead getting a hold of all the coaches and teams we'll be playing and come up with a protocol now. What does happen if someone comes up with a positive test? How do we move forward with that? What does that look like? We need to have all that in place now so that we can move forward. I think we'll have athletics, or activities in general, band, debate, all those others. I think we will continue to have those as long as we are smart about how we move forward with it. My concern is I don't know that we will have fans. That might be, because you just can't control it. Again, it's one of the things that we look at is what is the risk compared to the return, and when we can control something, like, is it better to have the kids go outside for recess where it's outside, fresh air, get some running out, or is it better for them to stay isolated in their classrooms? Well, I'm sure there's some risk with them being outside, but we feel like there's a lot of more return on that. Having fans in the stands, I don't know. We have built, if people didn't know, we built a new facility.
No, really?
We did. The Eagle Event Center. And
That's that dome thing.
it is.
Okay.
It is. And so as part of that, though, when we built it as an event center. And so you'd say for a school our size, it might be oversized. Well, now that may be really handy that we have a secondary level so we can ask people to spread out and we can accommodate everybody. So unknowingly, we may have prepared for this 2 years ago because, again, it seats almost 1,800 people, and that would give us plenty of capacity to spread out for most events and most games. It would give us plenty of opportunity to have everybody inside.
Good. I think that's it. Send your questions,
Yep.
and we'll answer them in this format, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
This week's school update made possible by Turkey Creek Mercantile and Annie's Flower House and Gifts.